Hey, fourth grade, how's it going? Hopefully, you guys are doing well. I miss you so much. I hope you're staying safe. Um, let's start a new lesson. Today, we're going to be working on the week 2 packet, and we're going to be doing the day 1, day 2, and day 3 lessons. Now, don't feel like you have to do all 3 lessons with me today. You can do just one lesson with me today, and then you can break up and pause the video and come back to it tomorrow. But the 3 days of lessons are going to be in this one video. So let's start with day 1. Day 1, you're going to need this sheet, which is going to be an organizer for our questions for the week. And then we're also going to need the text. Today's task is going to ask us to write what we think we know about the topic, just like we did last week. We're going to develop some questions to guide us through our reading, and then we're going to read the text. So very similar to what we did day 1 last week. So our focusing question this week is going to be, during the American Revolution, how did women support the cause for freedom? That sounds familiar. When did we work on this focusing question? Yep, you are right. We worked on this same focusing question last week, so we should already have a really good base of knowledge to fill in this first box of what we already know about this topic. So, exploring my prior knowledge, what I already know. I know that before the American Revolution, women, what do we think we know about this topic? I think I know women, remembering that play and remembering what women did, how they did it, why they did it. I'm going to fill out that box. I think women worked together to blank before the American Revolution. I think women felt blank, so they blank before the American Revolution. I think women blank before the American Revolution. Go ahead, pause the video, take about 3 minutes to fill out that box of everything you think you know women did before the American Revolution. Great. Let's move on to what we want to know about this topic. So we know this is a huge topic. Women did so much stuff about the American Revolution. So I bet this week we're going to find out even more. I want you guys to pause the video and go ahead and preview this text. That means flip through the text pages and look to see what this text might be about this week. You probably already know it's going to be about women and about the revolution, but I want you to just look through a couple of the text features and see what it might be about. Go ahead and pause the video, look through the text. All right, now let's develop some questions. So we have our question stem bank below. Now, we're going to work through our question words. Unlike our poster, which mine's up on the wall behind me, ours are in a little different order down here. So our first question word is what. Obviously, I want to ask a what question because it's very different than our text focusing question. How did women support the cause for freedom? So I'm going to ask, what did women do to support the cause for freedom? As I read through my text, I always am asking what. What did women do? So next, I'm going to go on to Q2. I'm going to ask, why were women supporting the cause for freedom? What were they doing it? Why were they doing that thing? So I'm going through, I'm going to ask what, I'm going to ask why. Next, Q3, I'm going to ask who. Who are these big women? As I was flipping through my text, I noticed that there was a lot of text features of women pictured, and they were pulled out of the text. Their names were in bold, or their pictures were pulled out. These must be super significant women. So I'm going to really pull my knowledge and maybe get these women's names stuck in my head. So I'm going to pull that, who. And my last question, how did the women who supported the cause for freedom act? So I'm going to go with those 4 questions to guide my thinking. my next step in day 1 is I'm going to read my text. So I'm actually going to be reading the text. It's time to read. And of course, as I'm reading, I'm going to be thinking about what is the main idea. So it's time to read, time to find the main idea. I'm using all these question words, questions as I'm reading. Okay, so go ahead, and this is the end of day 1. You're going to pause the video here. You're going to read the text for the first time. So go ahead and pause, read the video, and come back for day 2, either tomorrow or later today. All right, have a good one. All right, now it's time for day 2. DCPS packet, day 2. We're going to need our annotation key, and we're going to need our text. Today's test is we're finding evidence to answer our 4 questions, and we're going to find the evidence to answer our week focusing question, which is how did women support the cause for freedom? So just like Mr. Freeman did last week when he really did such a thorough job of taking you guys through annotation, we're going to take those same skills and transfer them this week. So you see, I took page 1 and I took a little section and I highlighted it to the right. So I'm going to read it out loud to you guys, and I'm going to break down exactly how I annotated it. So in the summer of 1781, the commander of the Continental Army in South Carolina was camped near the home of 16-year-old Emily Geiger. Oh, that was one of my questions. I just remembered Emily Geiger. And so this is a key name, I think. So I'm going to circle it because I really think that's going to be a key name. I know in my annotation key that we're going to circle key names. I'm also, for your guys' sake, I really want to make my thinking visible. So I put question 3 there because that's why my brain lit up. So I know one of my questions was a who question, and that's why that name really stood out, because I know I'm finding who were these women who were supporting the cause for freedom. He needed more troops. And so one of my questions were, why were these women fighting for freedom? One of the things that was happening is there were more troops needed. So I underlined that because that was an important detail. But the nearest ones were far away. The countryside was full of loyalists. Emily volunteered to carry a message. So what did they do to support the cause for freedom? That was my first question. She was volunteering for the Patriots to carry a message. That was what she did. Knowing that a girl wouldn't draw as much attention as a man, but just to be safe, she memorized the message before she hid it in her clothing. I underlined memorized because that is how she was acting. She was clever to memorize that. So that's what I thought. That's why I underlined it. Sure enough, the British soldiers stopped her. When they went to get a woman to search Emily, she ripped up the message and swallowed it into pieces. The British soon let her go, and she delivered the message aloud. So I wrote a note in the margin. Emily was acting clever and determined. So I kind of synthesized my thinking there so I wouldn't forget. So if I went back and saw that I underlined it, I wasn't thinking, Tess, what? Why did you underline that? I wrote exactly why I underlined it, because those are some inferences I made. So there are my examples of how I annotated this text for my 4 questions just in that one paragraph, okay? So I want you guys to now try annotating throughout this whole text. Remember to use your annotation key, and you'll be reading your text for your 2nd time today. So you're really, really focusing on making sure you make those good annotations of underlining, circling, putting a question mark by things that you might have questions or wonderings about, and making margins in the notes of any inferences or your self-clarifying information, okay? All right, time for day 3. So if you have had enough, come back, do day 3 with me tomorrow. I'll see you later. All right, day 3. So we're gonna need these materials from your packet. We're going to need this page, our inquiry chart, because we are going to be filling out the answers to our questions that we developed on day 1 after we read, and then we're obviously going to need our text to do that as well. All right. So at the top of our inquiry chart, we obviously have what we already wrote on day 1. And now I have my answers to what I wanted to know about this topic as well. What did women do to support the cause for freedom? Now, I just took notes. If you guys want to put these in full sentences, hey, good for you. I am just taking notes today, though. So what did they do? They joined the army, they wrote in the newspaper, they raised funds for soldiers, and they wrote poetry. Why were women supporting the cause for freedom? More soldiers were needed to win battles. They kept people up to date with facts by writing in the newspaper. They were getting equipment and food for soldiers, and the poetry was celebrating and creating joy for people. Who were the women? They were girls and women who joined the army. They were Cherokee women, French and African American women, by name Emily Geiger, Deborah Sampson, local militias, Sybil Ludington. 6 different women published newspapers. Phyllis Wheatley was a name we learned about, very, very famous poet, and Esther DeBrant Reed. How did the women who supported the cause for freedom act? They acted clever, determined, well-organized, bold, and selfless. Other interesting facts, so you can set this section up of your inquiry chart like this. I learned blank in this article. In addition, I discovered blank. I also learned that blank. This section is for cool stuff we learned that might not go in our 4 answer boxes before, but they were cool facts that we learned. And here's a summary of what we learned. So this is kind of our main idea summary. So combining all 4 of those answers here. Women were blank, blank, and blank. So kind of their characteristics. They were clever, intelligent, well-organized as they supported the cause for freedom by writing in newspapers, joining the army. What did they do? In addition, they blank. Furthermore, women did what? Specifically, what did they do to support the cause for freedom by blank? So here's kind of an outline that you could follow for your summary. If you want to. If you want to write your summary in your own way, go for it. I want you guys to either type up your summary and put it in the comments or text a picture of it to Mr. Freeman and I to check your work. All right, that's the end of day 3. I will make sure to see you guys tomorrow in day 4's lesson. Day 4 and day 5 will be also in one video meshed together because we are going to be planning our project, and then we will be revising that, or we'll be drafting, then revising that draft, and publishing, and then having so much time for enrichments as well. Thanks you guys for watching these YouTubes, and as always, reach out with any questions or concerns. Bye-bye, miss you.